like a shit total wipeout course. Definitely a trap.
Yeah, boy.
Have you ever seen more of a jankier place to set up a camera than there? Or is it there?
Ta-da! Record button. Now go back.
So he forgot his bag, which has got his remote thing in it, so now he's got to go back just to click record. So he can come all the way back, just to line up the mic again.
What are we talking about? So we've just been out filming for a trailer for these playing cards, Madison Schneider Remedies, and Toby's helped me film quite a lot of it, and we thought we'd just sit down and talk about kind of the process and the creative process of it. I guess up to that point, I mean, there's so much to talk about with editing, but I think if we stick to the filming side of it, because it's a common thing that I found people ask a lot about. You know, how do you decide what you're going to film with this being a trailer? Basically, this is a bit of a story. I don't usually do stories in my videos, but so for the first time in a long time, I found myself writing an idea for a trailer, and it felt a little bit scary, to be honest, because as soon as you start trying to write an idea, you're taking on a lot of responsibility trying to make that idea come to life, whereas usually I just see it in my head and then bring it to life that way.
I think that's easier as well if you are working just by yourself, because you can just go ahead and do it, but when you're working with somebody else, you're trying to get that vision across, innit?
Yeah. And so far I've filmed at home, very easy idea of me just looking at a deck of playing cards, closing my eyes, and then when my eyes close, my eyes then open in the woods, in the middle of the woods, dressed differently with the playing cards, and then we start showing the playing cards off. Kind of a very basic, simple dream idea, but the way that I see it in my head, so specific that I started writing it down. Then I started worrying how we're going to get this shot, and this shot. Then it became kind of a creative development between Toby and I trying to get it right.
Just kind of winged a lot of it as well, didn't we? Just seeing what will work in the moment and seeing what works and lines up, I think, is one of the main things.
And on this side of it, it's like, it feels like we've got almost all of the footage, and it feels like there wasn't really even a need for a script, really.
No, I think as long as you've got your basic underlying story, you know kind of where you're going and what it is, you know, you don't need to line it up with your shots, because it all depends, you know. We didn't know it was going to be such a nice day today to film out in here, so you just have to play it by ear, really. We have overshot, but I think that's the best thing to do for anything.
Yeah.
Just get as much as you need. And then when you come to the edit, obviously you can start to build it up and form it to how you want it.
Yeah.
Play with it. Gives you a bit more freedom, doesn't it?
I think if you're going to do that as well, the way that I've tried to do it with an idea first, with writing an idea, you've got to be open-minded for it changing quite drastically. Like we did a lot of shots today that I didn't expect. Yeah. Like spraying the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of them. You find stuff that, like, happy coincidences, you know, that work in the moment, and you're like, oh, okay, why didn't I think of this beforehand? It's because you're not in that scenario to kind of think about it. And like the drone as well, like. Yeah, like that'd have been nice, but yeah, didn't work. One of them. It would have been nice, but it's not a necessity. You know what I mean? We still got everything else. We've got the extra bits, but it would have been quite nice to fit that in. So you're more of a you do write your story first, don't you? Most of it, yeah. I normally kind of go in with an idea and then like strictly kind of like storyboard it out and plan a no from here to here to here, and then roughly I'll play out. There are kind of some freedoms with certain things, especially like when it comes to transitions, and I do kind of play it out in the moment. But I think most of that is just because it's normally just me by myself filming, so I have to just think about how everything's going to be kind of executed easiest. Yeah, I think you approach every part of it as well like a storyteller. Like, you know, you're telling a story, so when you're writing it to begin with, then when we're out with the cameras, like I was having to constantly remind myself that the bits we were filming were in kind of a dream state. Mm-hmm. That just made me aware
of the way I was acting, the way I was moving, the way I was holding playing cards, the energy of it, I guess.
Yeah, and you just think about like certain things that you don't think about, as I say, beforehand, because when it comes to it's the small little details of like out of focus, for a dream or something like that, or how it's going to be coloured, and little things that you obviously wouldn't think about until after you filmed it, and then you go back and you're like, I wish I'd have done it that way and stuff, but you can't always do it that. So sometimes it is always nice to have that bit of freedom.
I mean, and also you and I both have quite a bit of experience filming.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to people who didn't really have that experience and didn't have, because we've got pretty good equipment as well, like average equipment.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have like that. I mean, you get your phones in your pockets these days that are ideal for anything.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is I didn't start off with the equipment that I've got. I started off with just terrible camera. The first thing I ever shot was just on my phone.
Yeah.
And I had access to a camera. I just chose to do it on my phone. I think it's just about you'll watch something terrible as long as it's gripping with like a story.
Yeah.
And you sound good at something like that, because you can choose to watch that. You're not going to sit through like a 2-hour film that's just terrible, even if it's shot lovely.
Yeah.
But it's really boring story, and I think that's the main thing that underlines it all. Is it's got to be that narrative that keeps you pushing and keeps you wanting to watch it more and more.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the fundamental thing of how I approach all my projects. Is kind of like, right, what's the story, what's the main narrative, and how am I going to get from A to B and push it forward, and then I'll look at, right, okay, the shots in the game or something.
Yeah, you've got to kind of approach it as a no excuses, with a no excuses attitude, like, I don't have a good enough camera.
Yeah, I
don't
hear
know
a
how
lot of
to
people
edit,
say that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not filming this because I don't have the equipment or something. Just doesn't matter, just you pull out your phone, shoot it, set it up there, borrow a camera, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing. It's better to have something than not have it done at all, really.
Yeah.
And then you work from there. You work up. Sometimes I'll be like, right, okay, this project it'd be nice if I'd have done this shot, if I'd have had like a slider or something else. So I'd just not put that shot in there and just wait until I can execute it a bit nicer or find a way around it or something.
Yeah.
But I think, the fundamental thing is you just got to have your story, and you've got to know how to keep the audience gripped on it, because if you haven't, it's just going to be loads of flashy things. And it's kind of like watching a fireworks show. I think is you watch fireworks, and the first minute you're like, okay, this is entertaining, but fireworks go on and on and on. You're like, okay, right, now I'm bored now.
Yeah.
And it's just boring after that.
Yeah.
And that can be just like flashy trailers. They're nice to watch, but they're not that entertaining. After a while, you get bored.
Yeah. You get the point straight away, don't you? One of the big things that I've learned, and I remind myself every time I'm filming, my kind of story comes to life in the edit more than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that if I film something and then I watch back on the footage on the camera raw, and I'm like, nah, I'm not happy with that. I always keep it, and I always take it to Final Cut to try to do something with it. And
I think
9
that's the
times
best
out
part.
of 10, I'll get something that I didn't expect, or I can change it enough or use it enough in a way that's gonna kind of justify it, or find a way to fit into the story that if I'd have gone back to that moment, looking at it raw with that idea, nah, this looks bad, I'm gonna delete it. But so now when I see bad footage on my camera, I keep it and I work with it anyway, and usually you find a way
I'll
around
keep
it.
everything. I'll overshoot. Like, as I say, I'll do take after take after take of so much stuff just to make sure, because in that thing you're going to go, right, it's digital at the end of the day, it's not difficult to delete it, so it's not costing you anything, it's only costing you time.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things people got to remember is when they're shooting it. Just you might think, I've got it on this take, because you might have done it perfectly, but just do a few extra one takes and I'll show you that they'll be better than that one that you think you've got there, because you're getting that flow of it all. But I think the edit's the main part where I didn't realise that fit, or I didn't realise that, and I can make terrible footage look good just by, it's amazing what you can just do with an edit and just looking at it all when you've got it all laid in front of you now, when you don't have to think about it. But it's like that. I've done it with like photographs. You take a photograph and you think, it's not great, there's no colour to it, it's just boring or something.
Yeah.
Stick it in a computer, and just do a few little tweaks to it.
Yeah.
And it'll just make something come up a bit more. Just adds that punch to it.
I don't think there's too many rights and wrongs, and I'm filming now for almost 20 years, and I'm still learning things. It's one of those things that you learn the most by doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You just gotta get out there and just do it and just film anything. Just carry a camera with you. The first thing that I did was just carry to get to know. You want to get to know your gear as well. That's the main thing. Of just make sure you know it all. And what I did was just made vlogs. They were terrible, but it got me to know my camera. It made me think like, all right, how am I going to find a story in this? It got me to know my editing software, you know, so well. So once you know your gear, once you know your editing stuff and everything, you know it so well that you don't have to think about that, and then you can focus more on like, all right, the story. Where am I going to find this? Where am I going to do that? And you can really pick that part. So it's just an extra thing not to think about.
Yeah.
As you say, just do it. It's like anything, you know, practice. But rather than reading about it and working out, just go and do it.
Yeah.
You'll make mistakes, but that's the best thing. That's how you learn at the end of the day, you know. As I was saying, I got a new camera. I shot a video on it. Some of it's terrible, some of it's good. But at the end of the day, I learned so much from that video. Like there's still a video there. Yeah, there's things in it that I wasn't happy with, but there's still bits in there that I know that I can go, okay, right, I know how to do it next time and make it better. But there's still a finished product from it.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just need to do. Get out and shoot.
And I think anybody with an iPhone these days, not even one of the latest iPhones.
Yeah.
You've got a good camera. You've got all the editing software on there.
iMovie on there and everything.
Everything's on there, so.
You don't even need iMovie these days now. You know, with the new software, they built it all into photos that you can just straight up edit there and then.
Do it as you go. Yeah. Anybody watching this, me and Toby are just gonna do this every so often. So if you want any advice from me and Toby from what we're doing with our experiences and with what we do, then you gotta let us know, and we'll come back and sit down and we'll talk direct. What the? We'll come back and talk directly to you about whatever you want us to talk about.
Any subjects, just drop them in the comments below and let us know. Even if it's not to do with filming, magic, performing, creating, anything. Conversation.
See you next time.
In a bit.